Do you want to master the art of ideation but are terrified of the idea of idea generation itself? I get it, I've been there, and I'm gonna share with you 4 key stages that will help you go from uncertainty and stress all the way through being more confident when it comes to ideation and even innovation. What's an idea? How to come up with an idea, how to validate an idea, and how to communicate an idea. Hi everyone, I'm Maria, founder of GUT, a design and innovation hub helping organizations build or spin purpose-driven tech products backed by strategy and experiences. So why am I doing this video? I just want to share that I've been asked to share this kind of content numerous times, so I thought I'll just create a video that I will just put out there for everyone and hopefully avoid repeating myself all the time, and you can get this value and then hopefully more here or even in different ways. So there we go. When you're still trying to come up with an idea and you're not really sure what it is about, try not to talk for the next 10 minutes, please. One sentence, be clear, be concise, and be quick. If someone asks you a question about your idea, make sure you don't take the next half an hour and start talking forever. Respond clearly and briefly. Now, one thing that is worth mentioning is that technology is not the answer. Technology is not the solution. Technology is not your product unless you're inventing a specific technology. So keep this in mind. Technology is the means. Now, let me explain this a little bit. If you're saying you're using AI, an AI system or artificial intelligence, or you have data input and output and so on, remember, this happens over time. It does not happen overnight. So you need time to build this technology to get your product to be learning about it. So whatever it is that you're building needs time. It needs time to collect the data. And then you have your system that improves over time. So it's not just given. The same logic applies to blockchain. Again, if you just say blockchain or machine learning or artificial intelligence or whatever it may be, this is not gonna wow your audience. And this is not gonna make the difference. So now I think you get my point. Focus on what you're doing and not what you're using in terms of technology that will certainly support over time, but it's not the technology that you're selling. And don't forget that oftentimes you're talking to experts, so you might even get drilled down. Just keep this in mind. Now let's move to the next one. When you want to come up with ideas, you need to have a target audience in mind. Who are you designing for? Who are you building this for? Who do you want to serve? Who's going to find value by using your product or your service? Now, you cannot design for everyone. You're not Google. Well, you might be a Google at some point, but for the time being, you're not. You need to identify a need, a challenge, very specific. Now, if there are no challenges or problems, it might be a gap. So this is also an opportunity. So think in terms of need and opportunity. And always start small. So be very specific with this need. Be also very specific with the opportunity. And start with one key primary thing that you do really, really well. Why would your potential audience come to you or use you? So keep this in mind all the time. And if something already exists, why reinvent the wheel? Just use it. And if it's not good enough, well, in that case, you can make it better. Then here you have your opportunity, right? And why am I saying this? Because oftentimes we see people trying to build another Facebook. And I've seen this many, many times. Now, let's go back to some design basics. One of the first things I learned at university in design school was less is more. And it truly applies in this context as well when you're coming up with a new idea of a product. Because you want to start with something really, really small. You don't want to create the Microsoft Word effect. Now, no offense to Microsoft, but when you look at their products, you see that it's features after features. So it's a bunch of features that grows over time. So you want to keep your brain geared towards minimalistic approaches to things. So what is it that you're doing that is solving this need? I'm gonna give you a very simple and very common example. So we're creating a social platform for people to exchange clothing over the internet. And yes, we're gonna add a possibility for them to chat. They're also able to book a place to stay if they wanna go and try some of the clothing. They can also check in and say where they are in the world in order to get some suggestions. Wait. Okay, that is too much. What on earth is going on here? This is not what we need to do. So if you present this kind of scenario, and believe me, this happens and I've seen it many times, it's so confusing, and I'm sure I did confuse you here as well. So focus on what you're trying to achieve here, on the need and the opportunity. Build on that, and then later on you can add what I'm gonna be calling features that support what you're trying to do. So basically, it's not this, that, and the other. It's one thing, and one thing that solidifies your product. When you're building something or creating a new kind of product, it doesn't have to be an app, a mobile app, for instance. It doesn't have to be this at all. Now, just think about it. How many mobile apps you have on your phone that you never use, that you might open once a year, if you're lucky, maybe. So always focus on the value, and on the value that you are providing that is helping your target audience overcome their needs and their challenges. And once this value is clear and identified and delivered and executed properly, then you can start expanding. So it's always good to have a starting point and a vision. Like, where do you want to get to? What do you want to achieve in an ideal world over time? And this can, change and evolve over time, of course. And I did mention execution briefly. Execution is key, even if you're doing the smallest or simplest kind of product or service. If you're building this amazing product, but the delivery is bad, the experience your customers have with is not great and frustrating, they will not come back to you. Actually, they will also not recommend you. And it's so easy to do today over social media. They're not just gonna call their neighbors, they will just share it on all the social media platforms they are. And that's not great to start off a company or even launch a new product. So keep your customers happy, and you will be happy as well, because a happy customer will always come back. This was about what you're creating, your idea. And by the way, I thought that would be one video, but it ended up being longer than expected, so I split it in 3 parts. So make sure you subscribe not to miss any of them.